it's a learning process for me. I feel like I get into a rhythm of feeling comfortable with setting the boundaries, and then I have a new situation where I'm like, I gotta like recalibrate. Um, I think for parents, it's like trying to find like low stakes opportunities to do it because, like you're saying, like warm and firm initially is the goal, right? Like you want them to just get used to the practice of setting boundaries without it being also paired with like a tense troubled moment. So an example that came to mind for me was like if you're playing with your kids and kids are, love them and they're gross, like they pick their nose, they drag their hands through things, like, and then they're like, all right, now you hold this. And it's like, oh, but I don't want to
I
hold it.
don't know that.
So, but parents sometimes I think place like an expectation, and caregivers, babysitters, like it can go for a wide range of any adult who's like supporting a child, where you feel like, oh, well, I don't want to like let them down, or I don't want to make them feel bad. And I would say that like that's right there, like a playful situation is a chance to be like, oh, you know what, my body, I'm seeing germs and my body doesn't really like germs. So I'm going to take care of myself, and maybe you make it playful. Like I'm thinking of like, playing tea party, right? Like, oh, can the queen clean her cup first before she takes a sip because the queen is very worried about germs, right? Like you're naming it that I'm not just going to eat from your boogery cup because we're playing and it's like going so great. All right. So I think that's a way that you just say, like, my body, I don't feel good about it. And I think saying my body too, like, helps depersonalize. It's not like me, mommy, or me, whoever doesn't like you or the game that you're playing. It's like my body and these germs don't mix. And so I'm
Mm,
going to set like a clear boundary around that. I'm going to pretend, and you can do it in different ways. You can be like, I can pretend to drink it. Like I've had kids who try to have like a doctor's kit and they want to maybe like take my temperature or give me a shot and like do something that's like, again, it's not like a huge thing, but I'm just like, this is a great opportunity to just be like, oh, so you can do it on the outside of my clothes, and we're going to take my temperature, like we're going to pretend it's going in my mouth, and we're going to put it on the side, right? Like I'm not going to like totally shut the play down, but I'm still setting a boundary about what I'm comfortable with and what keeps me engaged, right? Like if I fall full tilt into it, I feel like that sometimes sets you up for like, it's a slippery slope because then kids are like, oh, we're doing this all in now, right? Versus being like, oh, okay, sometimes I gotta take a step back and see if this person is comfortable with this before I just go ahead and do it.
right, and it helps them know that they have those boundaries, right? Like in the
Right.
modeling concept, like I'm going to model what you do. You said that how your body feels. I can do that too, but also to know that other people have different, right? Like they might not mind,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that everybody doesn't mind, and so it's something they
Right.
have to check in with. I know that like I was playing with my son, and I think it was like touching my face, and I was like, that's not something I want to do. I'm not that comfortable with that, but we can do this. And then we started to establish like kind of an ask first, right? When it
Right.
came to certain levels of touching. And then like one day I went over and I kind of like gave him a kiss, and he's like, hey, you didn't ask me first. And I was like, whoa, that's like
Mm.
early consent. But I'm not gonna be like, we're
Mm-hmm.
learning consent,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said, that's it's what he felt he needed
Mm-hmm.
to feel comfortable with something, and we're okay with that.
Right. Right. And sometimes it isn't always, I think kids and many people, right, like want to know what's coming, even if they want the thing that's coming. Just like ask me first so that I can like catch up to what's about to happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I'm sure like yes, okay, yes, you can give me a hug. Thanks for, and I always would say to, my students working in schools, like I really pushed on, you need to ask before you give me a hug, and I'm always going to say yes. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that was like
Right.
in my mind I knew I was going to say yes. I just wanted to train the skill of just check with me first. Or in maybe on the one off day, right? Maybe I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually not feeling well, but thank you for asking. Can we do an elbow bump today and then we'll
Yeah.
catch up on hugs tomorrow?" Um so yeah, I think it's just important for the brain to know like, "Oh, this is about to come. Prepare body. Oh, okay, I'm about to be embraced."
Right. I love that. And I think also them knowing that it changes, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes, or you're in the middle of a hug and you're like, I am done now. Or,
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe I don't want a third one, right? And that's
Right.
okay, that you're doing something, you're in the middle of it and you're like, all right, I'm done tickling or whatever it might
Right.
be at those
Right.
early stages, so then they can grow up and be able to use those skills in future relationships. And that's
Yeah.
why we're doing this.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a really great just tool for kids to have. And like you're saying too, it's also like the build up, right? Like, yes, I can do one hug. I can't do 30 hugs. And sometimes with kids, they're like, but if you could do one, you could do 30. And it's like, but no, I can't, or maybe this person can, but I have a limit. Oop, I feel it feels too much. Like you're saying, with kids do things like near the face. Like I just start to feel like I'm getting pulled out of, really, it feels like I'm getting pulled out of like connection and relationship with them. And that ultimately is my goal. So I'm not going to sacrifice like staying in this playful thing with you that actually I don't really feel super engaged with in, right? So I'm going to try to find a way, how can we still be connected to each other, still, play together, but that I can really be present. I can't be present if I'm like, get off, stop. And it's not, I don't like it.
Right. And it's a harsh shutdown. I think like I've definitely done that too. And you're like,
Yeah,
that didn't really go that well, because then they
right,
think like you don't want to be with them. And it wasn't me
right,
expressing that, like, hey, my body didn't like that. And that's not something I want to do, but I do want to play with you. And like you said, keep it on the outside, or you can play with
right,
my hair, but just like, please don't touch my face, or,
right, right.
that's a great point.